Welcome to TradersArmy.com, defending your right to build wealth and preserve capital for generations to come. Hey everybody, welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson. Hope everybody has had an absolutely amazing day and amazing weekend. It is Sunday, the 10th of December. This is for the wrap-up for the week that ended on the 8th. For those of you that are new to the channel, we do a daily video where we take a look at different market opportunities, but the most important thing is we leave the lines on the charts. The weekend edition, a bit different in that we really want to look at some bigger picture stuff and maybe make a little bit more about overall market perspective and kind of what's happening. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Starting with the S&P. Now we've seen the contract volume has rolled over to the March contract, so the markets have continued to rally higher. As we've opened up a bit higher. We talked about the fact that there was just nothing I was comfortable selling at these price levels. These price levels do not make me comfortable in shorting pretty much anything. There's no reason to think that we won't continue to rally from this point. And even going out to a bit bigger picture, I mean, this is an hourly chart, but if we go out even to, say, the daily chart, and let me actually just get off the futures here, and let's go to the actual S&P 500 index. Just looking here at the daily chart, we can see that we've, continued to rally higher. I don't see any strong, there's not a, we've set a new buying area right in here where we had this little drop, a little bit of a base, and then we've moved up from there. This could be a good chance to really re-engage if we get a bit of a pullback, but I just don't see any reason for us to think we're not going to continue to go a bit higher. This was really that area that we saw that reversal on from the prior Friday. That long wick down was the Michael Flynn testimony news, that we'd had against President Trump that turned out to be not so, and then the market rallied from there. But then we came down the next couple days and really ended the week nearly almost at our all-time high. So we definitely did see some strength in there. I do like this area still as a good accumulation point. There's no reason not to, simply because it was a resistance point through here. It's definitely still in an upward trend. I do see a slight weakening in momentum. So one of the things we don't typically talk about on the daily market version is what's going on the individual indexes, because I really try to just be pretty quick. But I am seeing some weakening momentum, and I'm going to point to the Russell right now. The Russell is our small market index, and the Russell in my mind is sometimes like the canary in the coal mine, right? And by being the canary in the coal mine, it's going to be the first one to take some heat and take some weakness when the market does indeed begin kind of any sort of decline. Well, when I look at the Russell, yes, we're at an all-time high, but it definitely is pulling back a bit more than I would anticipate. I've actually taken a look at rolling some out of some of these small cap just to kind of conserve and protect myself. When I throw some studies on here, what you'll notice is... I think I have too many things on at one time. There we go. You'll notice that our momentum it's really, though I got some higher swing highs right here on the weekly chart, so higher swing highs on the weekly chart, I have slightly lower swing highs on my momentum indicator. Now, not everything is based on the momentum indicator. Certainly, I don't make decisions on that momentum indicator, but that momentum indicator is telling me, maybe it might be time for me to just be aware of a potential rollover in this index. So, seeing that weakness in the small cap index really is ultimately what's keeping me, from really jumping in on every pullback of the S&P. Now, don't get me wrong; I'm certainly still not shorting the S&P, but I do see that slight, a little bit more weakness kind of coming in. So. Still opportunities and still places that we can get into it and get long when price comes back to it. Now, the NASDAQ is really the one that has been weaker because we've seen some weakness in the FANG stocks, right? The the Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, the FANG stocks really kind of jumping out there, showing some weakness. On the daily chart, we've seen actually definitely some lower. We actually got a lower swing high technically on the daily chart. So let's see if we can bust through here. I do still have a breakout long on NASDAQ. If it breaks out above here, I still think is worth getting into. Little reversal period on the trade from down in this region here. We never were able to quite get into this level down in here. So now we have this little, on the contract rollover, this little bit of gap area in here. Certainly that's not going to show up if you're using one of those the XN charts through TradeStation, which I know a lot of people are using that that particular one. But this was our rollover gap, if you will. But still something to be aware of and something to kind of keep in your mind. So, no real change on the NASDAQ levels. We'll see if something comes up this week. In the crude oil area, we had talked earlier last week about this crude oil level, and remember, it's purple, so small time frame. I wasn't a big fan of it. Price came into the level, started to come down. Let's actually look at it on that little small time frame. Price did give us a little touch and go out of the level, and then that level just completely failed on us. There was really no great explanation or reason as to why that it failed. I mean, obviously, we always have smaller probability of success when we go to the smaller time frame, and so that one did not work out for us. Kind of going forward in crude, and crude has been so in this chop for a while that there's not been a lot of great turning point opportunities. This is really my next one on the hourly chart. I'm going to leave that one on the charts, but I don't see anything down below that's kind of striking me. Gold, we have a little reversal area here. Now, mind you, we talked about this reversal area in gold as being off of the daily time period. So if I go to the daily chart, you'll see that reversal period came off of the daily chart. You might want to go, into a smaller time period to find it on the hourly chart. So let me see if I can go back. I don't even know if I have enough time even on the 90-day hourly. Nope. I got to go back even a bit further. Let's see if I can go back 180-day hourly. There we go. So when we go into here on the bigger time period, if you really want to, when I shrink this down on the hourly charts, though I've got this level marked off on the daily, there's nothing inside of the daily on an hourly that excites me about this area. So it's still marked off as a potential reversal point. I'm just not liking it for a small time frame trade entry. There's just nothing on here that fits my rules. This area here is definitely the origin of a very strong rally in price, but is it really the origin of a rally in price? Because I want to see that this was the cause of fair price areas that where price moved from. Really, this I think was the beginning of that fair price area, and then price just kept returning to that fair price area. So you may get a reversal out of here. If you're interested, you might want to take some sort of a confirmation style of an entry. But for right now, I'm going to leave gold be. There's no reason for me to jump into this reversal. I've got it still marked, as we had talked about. I think on the breakdown from here, we talked about this being the potential target. So some of you still may be short from the breakdown out of this level. So we'll see if that kind of continues to run. Looking at our bond and our currency markets. So our bond markets, we are still in between major turning points in the bonds. No real change there. As far as our Aussie, the Aussie dollar, we did get the breakdown off the Aussie dollar short. Price came back up. No, did not come in above where our stop would be. We did talk about potentially moving that stop if you were in it. So this one is still working for you in your favor. I'm going to remove the trade though, because we're no longer going to be using that line any further. You may want to manage that stop, as we didn't get a very strong breakdown out of it from where it is. Euro level, the Euro level is still continuing to work in our favor. I like the Euro level for a potential reversal somewhere in the overnight hours. It's we could get a continuation of this move down. I'm not sure exactly where that turning point would be, but I would, maybe if you want to look to that as a candle to candle style, when you go to a 4-hour chart, it's actually a little bit easier to see, this rally back up, and it's really the right setup, right? It's the move down and then this little rally back up. Kind of could even be a short covering rally coming from that before you get price coming back down. I believe this is a pretty good target and a pretty good range for the euro. So those of you that are short on the breakdown on that, still working out in your favor. The Canadian dollar, we still haven't broken below the level. This level is still here. We will keep our eye on this area as a potential breakdown from this zone. Last and certainly not least, these four. Great British Pound, Nat Gas, Japanese Yen. So our Japanese Yen trade, let's pull this one up. So our Japanese Yen trade price came into the area just before Friday and then did not hold at all. So, this one didn't have a fair arrival into it, and here's why. So for those of you that were looking at this Japanese yen, this one did not really give us a great opportunity to get short, to get long for a couple of reasons. The biggest reason would be that just above our potential turning point area, we had this little fair price value. Now, price came into here, and it didn't, there was just not enough profit margin in this thing to make it a worthwhile level. So depending on your style, you may or may not have gotten into this thing. If you looked at this little bit of hesitation before the drop into here, that's probably going to tell you to stay away from this trade. If you're a set it and forget it style, then you may have gotten stopped out on this, and those things are certainly going to happen. Now, this actually wound up being a really nice short later on, as it became a pretty good turning point right down through here as price is continuing to fall. So I'm going to remove this area. Now, I have to tell you, keep in mind, this next area, if we see another little bit of basing before it, it may make that next area also invalid. Remember that, that's a very important part. And we still have a short lined up off the daily chart from months ago, as we believe this was a good breakdown short level. So this area here may or may not hold for very long. Just keep an eye on the arrival back into that region. So that being said, everybody, hope you had an absolutely great weekend, and I will be back tomorrow after the market closes. For those of you that it's your first time here, please give me a like on the page, give me a share, and I hope everybody has an absolutely, absolutely amazing day, and fiercely, fiercely protect your capital. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day. See ya.